I've taught trigonometry many times in the last 30 years, and I've also written a book on trigonometry. And I can tell you that the number one reason that students don't do well in trigonometry is they don't know the definitions for the trigonometric functions. So a student will come to me and say, hey, I'm just really having trouble in this class. And I'll say, well, tell me what the sine of theta is. And they can't tell me. So when it comes to the trigonometric functions, we have three definitions. One for right triangles, one for a point on the terminal side of an angle in standard position, and one for the unit circle. Now, if you're taking a trigonometry class, you usually see one of these two first, but you'll see both of them as the semester goes on. And if you're taking pre-calculus, the trigonometry part of pre-calculus usually has this circular function approach. So what would you say if somebody said to you, what is the sine of theta, and you were in a class that introduced the trig functions this way first? You would say if theta is an acute angle in a right triangle, then the sine of theta is the ratio of the side opposite angle theta to the hypotenuse. There's no easier way to say it. You have to say it like that. If theta is an angle if theta is an acute angle in a right triangle, then the sine of theta is the side opposite divided by the hypotenuse. If you had this definition first, you would have to say this. If theta is an angle in standard position and the point xy is a point on the terminal side of theta, then the sine of theta is the ratio of the y coordinate to the distance out to the point from the origin. So it's y over r. There's no easier way to say it. And then if you had this definition, you would say, well, if this is the unit circle, a circle with a radius of 1, and from the point 1, 0 out, the distance from the point 1, 0 out to the point xy is s, then the sine of s would be equal to just the y coordinate right here. So this is cosine of theta and cosine of s and sine of s. So when it comes to passing trigonometry, doing a good job, wait for those definitions the first time you see them and memorize them. That will put you in a whole different class of students from the ones that are struggling. So what's the most important thing about trigonometry and the thing that keeps people from being successful? They don't know the definitions for the trigonometric functions. Now I put a couple of other videos down here that you can click on if you want. One will show that all three of these definitions are the same. And the other one will show you that as you progress in mathematics, the definitions get more and more complicated. So there's, like you'll notice in this definition, regardless of which one you use, it takes a little bit to say it. But that's normal for mathematics. As you go on in mathematics, the definitions get more and more complicated. So for instance, if you're in basic math or algebra and somebody says, well, what is an even number? You would say, well, an even number is a whole number divisible by 2, or a whole number that has a factor of 2, or it's 2 times some other whole number. It's easy to say what an even number is, but it's more complicated when you get to trigonometry to say what the sine or cosine or tangent of theta is. You've got to go to a little bit more work. If theta is an acute angle in a right triangle, then the ratio of the opposite side to the hypotenuse is what we call the sine of theta. So memorize those definitions when you see them for the first time, and you'll do much better in trigonometry.